Welcome to Healthy Vegan Living. I'm Gary, and today what we're going to be doing is a stir fry. These are beet tops. What I did is I pulled a huge bunch of beets from my garden, and I'm going to stir fry these leaves. Normally, a Brussels sprout looks like this. They're green, they look wonderful, and we all know what these taste like because I have lots of videos on Brussels sprouts. But this year I decided to grow my own. So what I have here are these are the little bits of Brussels sprouts that were at the very, very bottom. They're minuscule. But we were pulling the plant, and instead of throwing these away, we're going to stir fry these in the stir fry. So come and see how I put this together. I think you'll find it interesting, and it'll be another new vegan recipe. Thanks.
Welcome to Healthy Vegan Living, a whole food plant-based lifestyle. Ingredients: large stir-fry pan, 2 leeks and or white onion, 15 cup beet leaves, 10 whole Brussels sprouts diced and 45 small sprouts, 3 cups kale, 2 cups homemade beet stem broth, no salt added, 1 large mild bell pepper, 2 cups of fresh pineapple, 1/4 cup Manfrotto soy sauce, 1/4 cup Bragg's amino acid seasoning, 1/4 cup Walden Farm Spat Italian free dressing. This meal will take 1 hour.
First off, what we're doing is we're going to take the leaves and we're going to wash them. Now, I'm going to be cooking all of these leaves. There's these in here, and there's these too. But they come down just like spinach, so it's going to all disappear. And then you choose the leaves, like this is not really a particularly nice leaf, so you don't want to keep that one. You want to keep as much chlorophyll, the green, in the leaf. Sometimes I put these in there for a different color, but these leaves have basically lost their chlorophyll, and all they are is red and light green. Okay, so let's see how bad this is. See? Even in your garden, you got to wash them, they get dirty. Alright, so that's what we're going to be doing. Alright, as soon as it's washed, what I do next is I take the water off the leaves. And the reason why is that you're going to have a really hot pan, and if you introduce that much water into it, it's going to splatter. This is my second attempt at doing this. I'm just making sure they're as dry as possible. Then from here, you put it in the pan. This is just a holding bowl until we get ready to go to the stove. Okay. Now, if you know anything about my cooking, I don't use oil. I use onions. What we're going to do in here, we're going to cook the onions, and we're going to get them started. That'll be the very first thing we do. Alright, now if you're using leeks, leeks have to be very, very well cleaned. They are grown in soil, and they impart the soil in between these rings, and what happens is if you don't do that, you're going to be bringing in mud into your meal. So what we're going to do is we're going to put in this red container over here that you see in the screen, that's where we're going to put our onions and the leeks. I'm cutting these small because I want them to cook fast. I don't want to wait for them. So you can see these are the rounds that I'm going to be putting into the frying pan. Okay, so we're going to get that done and we'll see you in a few minutes. Once you've cut all your leeks, wash them really good. Let me show you why. See how brown the water is? Actually, the water's not bad considering it comes from my garden. With this, you're going to be, not these little pieces there, you're going to take the water off the top. See the water coming out? Now I started these cooking ahead of time while I was chopping the other onions. Now I know it looks like a lot, but you're just going to do this. You just want a good mixture on the bottom. These onions we'll save for salads. We can use these for the other recipes that I have planned today. Raise the heat a little bit and you want to cook these onions until they're translucent, like almost clear. Where they're broken down, they're clear. Okay, so we're going to leave this to cook and we're going to take care of the other parts that we needed for the meal. The next part we're going to do is we're going to cut up this kale along with a little bit of celery and we're going to put it in a salad spinner and we're going to put this in our stir fry. Now this here is beet broth that I made on a prior video. I took a huge sprig of kale from my garden. I'm cutting off the branches off this stem, this larger stem. And then I'll do it even again one more time to get the leaves off. So now we have a little broth to get this going. So you can see already that the onions are turning translucent. You see how they're losing their color? Then we'll start putting our other vegetable in. Then we're putting our special topping. Now this is the Brussels sprouts that came from our 3 Brussels sprouts that we had in the backyard. And they're not really pristine. You can see this is some Brussels sprout leaves. And they're not at all like these where I got these at Sam's Club. But they're too good to throw away. I mean, we can use these in our stir fry, but it's going to take me some time to clean them up. I have to do that first. I'm going to throw these leaves in there too. And this is not even cooked and it smells heavenly. I have always loved Brussels sprouts. I've never eaten them raw. Here's another piece right here. Got a Brussels sprout right over here in the middle. It's just not fully developed. So that's what we're going to do next. The onions are all ready. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to put in the leaves in here. And the reason why is it takes them the longest to cook. We're going to use the beet broth that I created so I can cook this. And we're going to turn up the heat to about medium right now. And you're going to have to pay attention to this. So what basically you're doing here is you're steaming the vegetables. They come down, you put the next layer, they come down. After that, we'll put on the kale and a little bit of celery that I had. These are all broken down in small pieces. And then next to that, we'll be putting in some mild bell peppers that I picked up at Sam's Club. And after that, towards the very end, we'll be putting in some pineapple that I just cored specifically for this meal. And we're going to put the cover on top and just steam it away. Okay, so now you see where we're at. It's only been a few minutes since I put in the leaves. You can see now that the onions are completely translucent. We're going to just mix it all in. We're going to put the next batch in. Actually, we're going to put all of it in. You saw how fast it was completely full when I put it in, and it just shrinks down like spinach. When this gets melted down, then we'll put in the kale. And we're going to add a little bit more of this broth that I made, this beet broth, because it will complement the stir fry. Okay, now we're going to cover this up and we're going to continue working on the Brussels sprouts. So now you can see now all the leaves have basically brought themselves down like spinach. What we're doing next, we're going to add the kale to it. And a little bit of celery leaves. Right after this, then we're going to put the Brussels sprouts and we'll cook them next. Now, this is the Brussels sprouts fresh ones from Sam's Club and some from my garden. There wasn't enough to be able to do a full meal, so I added 10 more of these Brussels sprouts to it. We'll be putting this on top next. We're going to cover this back up again. The leaves are trying to get away. And we're going to add a little bit more broth. Now this is 2 cups of broth. That's the broth that I made with the beets and the carrots. I didn't use any of the carrots. Carrots are long gone to the dogs. But the broth can be used in this meal perfectly because it's basically beet broth. Okay, leave that in there. Come back in a few minutes when we add the Brussels sprouts. So now almost everything is cooked. So what we're going to do is just kind of stir it up real quick. We're going to put in our Brussels sprouts. These are the ones from my garden, plus 10 more from Sam's Club that I diced in quarter. I quartered them so they would grow and cook fast. The very last thing we're going to put into the mix is going to be the bell peppers. I chose orange and yellow bell peppers. Then right before we close, we'll put in the pineapple. So we're just going to mix this in so that the Brussels sprouts are at the bottom of the pan. And have a chance to mix in with all the other delicious flavors of the beet greens, the leeks, and the kale. So this is a very different type of stir fry. Look at this giant leaf here I got to break apart. There's no seasoning in this right now, but there will be at the very end, and I'll show you what I use. Okay, so we're going to leave this to cook for a little while. Meanwhile, we'll prepare the last 2 ingredients that we're putting into our stir fry. Alright, so it's been cooking for about 40 minutes now. I can already tell that the Brussels sprouts are soft. You see they're breaking in right there. We're going to put the bell peppers on top, add some sweetness to it, and we're going to put the pineapple on the top of that. Now this is only going to cook for a couple minutes, and then I'm going to introduce a sauce into it, and then we're going to serve it. I'm just going to mix everything together here. And you can see that this is more than just one meal's worth, and that's what the purpose of this meal is, that it gives you a chance to have it multiple times. You can add this to other vegetables on the top, or you can just eat it the way it is. It's full of goodness, all from my garden. And then we're going to lower the heat down, and then we're going to prepare the sauce that we're going to serve it with. Now to make the sauce, you use a 1/4 cup of soy sauce. I like to use Maruso, a gift from my family. You're going to use a 1/4 cup of liquid amino acid, all-purpose seasoning. You're also going to use Walden's Farm Italian calorie-free dressing. It's sugar-free, carbohydrate-free, gluten-free. It's basically free. So anyway, so we're going to put that together. We're going to put it inside of here, and then we're going to serve it. Now this is a lot of salt. It's delicious, but you have to consider, that's why I didn't season any of this, because I was preparing to put this mixture on top. Now what we're going to do is mix it thoroughly while the sauce gets warm, and then we're going to plate it. See that all of the ingredients are well cooked and are well on their way to feeding us. This meal took exactly an hour to put together. Okay, so we're going to plate it next. Okay. So here you can see the bell peppers, the Brussels sprout, the beet greens, the pineapple, and a little bit of onion on the bottom. Like all my creations, I made a huge mess of the kitchen. Since I'm the one that eats most of my food, I'm the one who cleans it up. Anyway, let's get to eating. So this is a Brussels sprout. It's perfectly tender, and it's got the nice seasoning on the top of it. Here's a bell pepper. And by putting it at the very, very end, it still adds some texture, which is what I always look at my food. That was a combination of Brussels sprout and beet greens. After a long day of doing yoga, I just love coming to a meal that's all prepared. I'm putting it in these freezer bags. I can do that. Okay, so this will probably make about 2 bags. I do freeze my stir fries, but because I love them so much, they don't last very long in the freezer. Looks like I have one more bag coming. I just wish that this year my Brussels sprouts would have been larger, but this is all a learning curve, this backyard gardening. I'm still trying to fine-tune it to make it work better. So I got 3 bags full, and I got lunch. And a wonderful video. Now, if you have sodium problems, don't use a 1/4 cup, use 1/8 of a cup and add more broth to it. This is very salty. Thank you very much for watching us, and I look forward to seeing you in our next video. I'm going to finish this plate.
If you like what you see, subscribe. And if you like this video, give us a thumbs up. Thank you for watching.